Hey everybody, Happy New Year. Today's January 3rd, and Mrs. Conrad is not in school today, as you can see, hopefully, and I'm planning to be back tomorrow. So let's do what we normally do and look at our agenda. Well, first of all, if you look at our learning target, it says I can produce clear and coherent writing in which the development, organization, and style are appropriate to task, purpose, and audience. Blah, blah, blah. That means we are going to write a clear essay, and that's what we're working on. As promised, your homework, as always, is to read 20 minutes. Number 2, reread Pet Therapy, which is assigned on Pearson. You may listen to this on audio as well, and be sure to have a book for silent reading tomorrow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just want you to know that on Pearson, I reassigned Pet Therapy. Feel free to listen or reread this. You definitely need to read it because you're going to be using evidence from here in your essay, and it's been a while since we've looked at it. As you're reading, I would go ahead and have out your Pet Therapy evidence table, which should be in the writing section of your notebook, and look at what you wrote. You might want to edit or change that, okay? So today, if we go back to our agenda, we're going to be introducing essay writing. And I'm going to be talking to you with a little bit of help from Ian about the structure of an essay and the individual paragraphs in an essay. And then you're going to be doing some practice. And this is also going to be a way for you to kind of analyze your winter break and reflect on it, which is a great thing to do as we start the new year. And if you have time at the end of class, you may start to reread Pet Therapy. All right. Okay. So first of all, I have a presentation on informational essays, which I'm going to be sharing with you. But we're going to go right to the essay prompt that you're going to be writing about. And the essay prompt is this. Write a multi-paragraph response in which you analyze how both authors, Turner and Ravner, express the idea that humans and animals benefit from each other. So a long time ago, we read Pet Therapy, which talked all about animals and humans helping each other. It talked about some of the research. It was a nonfiction piece. It talked about, there was a lot of information about Rebecca Johnson, and we're going to be referring back to that because we're going to have to use evidence from this in our essay. We also read a story, if I can find it, called Hachiko, The True Story of a Loyal Dog by Pamela S. Turner. And we all know the story of Hachiko. So when we look at this prompt, we have to go back to Hachiko and Pet Therapy. And we have to analyze how two different authors express the idea that humans and animals benefit from each other. And we can't make anything up because our response has to be based on ideas and information found in those passages. Okay? And I did want to point out this red word, analyze. So when I look at the word analyze, it says to study something closely and carefully, to learn the nature and relationships of the parts of something by a close and careful examination. So we have to really analyze and examine closely these two passages, Hachiko and Pet Therapy. And we have to look at the relationships and how the authors write. And we're going to be looking at how they both present the idea that animals and humans benefit from each other. But first, I want to have Ian explain something to you, Ian Bird from Birdseed, because when we look at an essay, it always starts with an introductory paragraph. We have 3 body paragraphs usually, and a concluding paragraph. Now, here's a sneak preview. For your first essay, we're only doing 2 body paragraphs, but we're going to pretend like we're doing 3. And Ian's going to talk to us a little bit about this structure and how it's like something in math called a fractal. So let's listen.
In this video, we're going to be learning about writing structure using an interesting shape called a fractal. We're going to be looking at how there's a parallel in the structure of the whole essay and a single paragraph. Let's take a look at what a fractal is. Here's an example of a fractal, where we start with a triangle and add an upside down white triangle in the middle. When we did this, we created 3 smaller blue triangles, and we'll use the same rule. When we see a blue triangle, we add an upside down white triangle. And as we did that, we created even more blue triangles. And we could keep zooming in and repeating the structure forever if we wanted to. The reason we're talking about fractals is because there's a similarity between fractals and the way that nonfiction writing is structured. When we look at the whole essay, we usually start with an introduction paragraph, and then there are 3 or more body paragraphs that provide more information about the topic, and then there's a concluding paragraph. The reason I think this is like a fractal is because we could break each body paragraph down into that same shape. If we zoom into a body paragraph, it's the same structure as the whole essay. We have an introduction, the topic sentence, and then 3 or more sentences that relate to the topic, and then we wrap things up with a concluding sentence. As you can see, the structure is the same as the whole essay, only the points are more like sentences instead of paragraphs. Let's take a look at an example. I'm going to write about why Seal Beach, California is the best city. It also happens to be the city I live in. My introductory paragraph is going to be about how Seal Beach is the best city, and then I'll have 3 body paragraphs, and each one will focus on a different topic about why Seal Beach is the best. And then I'll have a concluding paragraph that wraps it all up. And for right now, that's all we're going to do with our introduction and concluding paragraphs. Let's start with that first body paragraph. Seal Beach is great because it's a beach city, and we're going to zoom in on it. The topic sentence is going to be that Seal Beach is great because it's a beach city, and then I'll include 3 points to back this up. I'll wrap it up with a concluding sentence, and for right now, we'll leave those how they are. Now let's take a look at the second body paragraph. The topic is that it has a small town feel, and then we'll break it down into that same structure as the whole essay. We have our topic, we support it with 3 points, and then we wrap it up. If we look at the third body paragraph, it too will have the same structure as the whole essay. We have our topic and concluding sentences, and 3 points related to the topic.
Just wanted to point out, if this is a body paragraph and the topic is that it's close to many other attractions, all of these details need to show that. Now, Disneyland is a 20-minute drive away. Yep, that's an attraction that's close to the city, so that works. We have Snowy Mountains only 2 hours away. All right, another attraction that's close. And SeaWorld, just a couple hours south, is another close attraction. So all of these need to be related. I'll let Ian continue.
So when you're planning your essay, the whole essay has a similar structure to each of the body paragraphs. You might practice with a fun topic that you know a lot about. You could use the same idea I used. Something is the best something. It could be a sports team or a video game or a movie. And you could use this graphic organizer to help organize your writing.
Before Ian goes, I want to point out that in this box, we have something called a thesis, and down here we have a thesis. A thesis statement is so important. We're going to talk more about it tomorrow. But a thesis statement answers the prompt that's being asked of you. So if the question is, what's the best city? Here's a thesis statement that Seal Beach is the best city. Everything in these body paragraphs has to relate to this thesis statement. And it should be one sentence that lets the reader know what the whole essay will be about. Right? So a thesis statement is just like a topic sentence, except it's for the whole essay, not just one paragraph.
Here's what my Seal Beach is the best city essay would look like on this graphic organizer. Now it's your turn to plan out an essay in which the whole essay has a similar structure to the individual paragraphs.
Okay, so boys and girls, in a few minutes, you're going to have a chance to do this, but I wanted to show you an example from me. So if we have a question that asks you to write a fake multi-paragraph response in which you analyze your winter break, your response must be based on ideas and information that can be found from the last 16 days of your life. So we're going to analyze, which again means to examine closely and carefully. So I'm going to ask you to really analyze your winter break, and you're going to come up with something that looks like this. Only you're going to be looking for this fractal writing structure, which is going to be assigned on Canvas to you. And actually, the first page is going to be the one you're going to fill out. The second page is going to be Mrs. Conrad's example. So let's just look at Mrs. Conrad's example. Now, notice I have a thesis. I'm analyzing my break, and I can't just say my winter break was the best because it wasn't the best. So I said that my winter break started off very busy, turned into a wonderful time with family, and then shifted to yuckiness. So I really have three ideas in my thesis. The first is that it was very busy, then it was a wonderful time with family, and then it shifted to yuckiness. So let's look at my first body paragraph. The topic sentence would be the first few days of vacation were extremely busy. Now, I've covered some things up on this organizer, but point one would be I first had to finish all my Christmas shopping, which meant visiting lots of stores and running errands. So that's all part of being busy. Then I was busy making food and cookies for the holidays. And finally, I still had to wrap gifts. So, one point of my essay when I analyze my vacation is that it started off being busy. Then it was a wonderful time with family. Here's topic two. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day were full of good family time. Point one, we went to Grandma Conrad's and got to see all the cousins and play games. Grandma Michael came over on Christmas Day, and we all opened presents and watched the Browns game as a family, which we don't usually get to do because Katie and Michael are always down in Columbus. And point three, Katie and Michael were both home. So we had a lot of good family time. Topic three is this: the break became yucky. And you guessed it. Point one, Mr. K got COVID. Point two, Mrs. K got COVID. Point three, I had to quarantine for days all alone, which meant I had no one to talk to, and that was very, very hard. So all of this has to do with it becoming yucky. Now, in my final closing statement, I don't want to be as simple as Ian and write it exactly the same way. So what I just said was my vacation was full of ups and downs. So now your task is to go to the blank organizer that I have for you. And you're going to answer the question. You're going to analyze your Christmas vacation or your winter break. And let's see. You're going to write a multi-paragraph response. So you're going to plan this. We're not actually writing it. We're just using this organizer to plan it. How was your winter break? And it has to be based on information from the last 16 days. So when you go to your fractal writing structure assignment, you're going to be starting with a thesis. Maybe your thesis is that my winter break was awesome. And maybe topic one is I got to go skiing over Christmas break. And topic two is I was able to read 10 books over winter break. And that's another reason why it's awesome. And the third topic or reason why your winter break was awesome is because you got to go to the Browns game. And you're going to give me details about all of that. So you're going to come up with a thesis statement that tells me about your Christmas break. You're going to break it into three different topics and fill it in just like I did here. Okay? And when you're done, you're going to turn this in and I'll be able to see how your winter break is. As soon as you finish, I want you to go ahead and start to read wherever it is, Pet Therapy. And this is so important so that it's fresh in your mind. All right? And Have a great day. I will see you guys on January 4th. Bye.